Hello again everybody, and welcome to You Couldn't Make It Up Part 2. My last video about this machine, I explained that I'd found that the misfiring problem, after doing all the timing side work that I did as seen in previous videos, no need to go over all that again, but I got a misfire problem basically after having the machine laid on its side, doing work on the timing side, and all of a sudden this misfire that it didn't have before appeared immediately. And as we've seen in previous videos, I've gone all around the houses trying to find out what it was, and eventually I tracked it down to a Duff ignition switch, a little stalk switch that I got hidden away on the bike just for a bit of added security really. And I think in my last video I said that I changed the switch for a new one like this one here, and been out for a ride on it and everything ran fine. It did. Not a misfire, not a splutter, nothing. I was made up with it, and so delighted I decided after making that test ride that I would go to the pub and celebrate by having 1 pint and 1 naughty roll-up, which I occasionally have, just to celebrate, because finally this thing was going right, and I was going to go up on this to the pub in the next village. Well, I got togged up and started up, and I started riding up the lane, and before I got to the main road there was the odd hesitation and splutter. Oh well, perhaps this will sort itself out. Obviously I've fixed the problem. It might be something else, it might just be a coincidence. So I crossed the main road and tried to carry on. The misfire got worse. So I turned around, struggled to get back across the main road safely and quickly, and headed back down the lane towards home. I didn't make it. The engine cut out and stopped completely. I was absolutely gutted. Anyway, I'm about to sort of try and explain the reason why I had the last failure, and this really does underline the sort of sod's law, you couldn't make it up kind of stuff. I'm just going to get up and move the camera, and then I'll get round behind the bike and explain what happened in the most recent little misadventure with all this ignition related stuff. Let's see, put this here and I'll lower the camera down so we're looking at the stuff I got on the seat of the bike, and I'll possibly zoom it in a little. Let's see, that'll do I think. Anyway, here's the stuff on the seat of the bike. Now I'll try and talk us through it. This is the old faulty switch, which obviously I replaced with a new one. The wires that I had going to it used simple crimp connectors, which are not to everybody's liking, I know, but they've never really caused me any problems. And they just sort of push onto the blades on the switch nicely and firmly, no problem. So what I had was I had a live wire from the battery going into it, and then another wire coming out of it to the ignition coil. Switch it on, you've got ignition. Well, I replaced the stalk switch for the new one. The only difference in this one being it's got those little screws in the terminals for screwing wires on, obviously with round eye connectors. Well, I didn't have any of them. I wanted to try and carry on using these if I could. And what I did initially, stupidly, I made sure that the open side of the crimp in there lined up with the raised part where the screw passes through, and I tried to push the spade connector, on to the spade like that. I thought if I pushed hard enough it would go on, but it didn't. So what I ended up doing was I got a connector like this one here on this ignition coil. Well, I got 2 of them actually, and fastened them on using the screws, and then I was able obviously to push these connectors, which were still on the original wires that I put on when I put this bike together. I was able to just push them onto the terminals on the new switch. What I hadn't realised, and what I found out when I got back, I had to push the bike about 200 yards, and I was going to take the timing cover off, the outer timing cover, because I thought the wire running through the inside of it to the points might have got damaged in some way and might have been shorting out. I'm so glad I put my hand under the seat instead and felt loose wires and realised that one of the connectors had come off the switch. It had come off because when I tried pushing it on to this connector here, I stretched it and opened it out, making it, I didn't notice anything when I pushed it on, but making it a very loose fit on the blade connector there, and it had just sort of vibrated and gradually worked its way off, and that stopped the engine. So a simple squeeze with some pliers pushed it back onto the connector on the replacement switch, and we're back in business. And since then my confidence has grown enough. There's a small show in the next village today and they want a few old vehicles there, so I'm going to go up on this and put it on display for a few hours. So I've got to break out the rags and the polish now and give it a bit of a birthday, and hopefully we'll get up to the show successfully and without any drama and back again. But like I say, you just couldn't make it up really, could you? All these things that have fought me with this one in recent days, you could just about write a book about them. But we're back in the land of the living and we're going to make it a little bit more presentable and shiny now. Happy days.